Guten Tag, Deutsch 1. Hallo. Okay, we're 7 classes into German, and you've come to a screeching halt in your understanding of what we're doing. All of a sudden, it just doesn't make sense anymore. Maybe it didn't make sense for a while, but you need Hilfe, right? Help, okay? And maybe what you need help with is verb conjugation. Konjugieren. In any case, this video will explain a few of the things that we've been working on and how they come together. So if you're not sure whether it's verb conjugation which is the problem, just keep listening, and I think you will it will shed some light on what we've been doing. Germany had some rather bad flooding this year, so here's some pictures of that. Maybe you've heard of it. Wow. Okay. All right. Step 1. When you want to form a sentence, or when you see a sentence or hear a sentence, who is doing the action? Okay. Who's the actor in this sentence? All right. So here are some possibilities that we've been exploring. Okay. It can be I, ich, du, you. Okay. He, er. Okay, so the guy over there, er, he. She, maybe she is doing the action. Es, the baby, right? The baby is an it in German. That's how it works. Okay. Yeah, the word baby has no gender. It's neutral, gender neutral. So it's it, s. Okay, so when you talk about the baby, you say, it needs changed. S. All right. Wir, we. Okay. Ihr, that means you all. When you're talking to a group of people, you say ihr. Okay. And when you're talking about that group of people, you say sie, them, those people there, they. And when you're talking to someone formal, and we don't really have this in English, but when you're talking to someone formal, you say sie when you're talking directly to them. When you want to say, good morning, Your Majesty. How are you? Or are you going to the park today, or whatever? You would use the formal sie for that. Okay, so here is a screen that shows an explanation of all of these. So read that through, pause it and read that through if you need to. Okay, main points. Well, you know what? Read that through. Okay, and this is where if you have questions, you need to stop, write them down, email them to me, or ask me. I don't understand this. You have to understand, you have to know that whatever it is you don't understand, maybe it is something that you, a word, it's an actual misunderstanding. But maybe it's just something weird about the language that there's nothing really to understand. It's just the way it is. It's weird. The fact that they have 3 Z's, Z, Z, and Z, that's weird. But it's just, you say, I don't understand. Well, I don't understand either. We just have to accept that as is. But other things like, whoops, I'm going to go back. If you have a question about why the ich is not capitalized, that I can explain. Although, again, it's just one of those things we have to say, yeah, okay, that's just how they do it. Okay. All right. How can you, so now that you've had that vocabulary in front of us, now that we've had that vocabulary in front of us, you've got to learn that. You got to make sure you have a solid grasp of when I say he, you can say er. And when I say er, you can say he. And same with she and we and all of those. You want to learn these? Conjugamus will help you. And this is a video on how you can get into Conjugamus. There you have games and things you can play. This is a fundamental building block of German sentences. You've got to understand these words. They're called pronouns. You have to understand these pronouns. So, go ahead and take time every day, or however long it takes until you master these, to play these games, learn these words. I only have this list in Conjugation because that's the best way to do it. And I have this slideshow. Okay. All right. I do have a version of it without pictures. I will post that in Schoology, and then you can always scroll through it and say the words. Okay? So now, if you've mastered those, then you can start a sentence by saying it, he, but then you need the action, right? And that's called the verb. Sometimes they're not very active, like he thinks, or he speaks, he deliberates. Anyway, not a lot of action there, but that's what's going on in the sentence. Okay. And we started out German by learning these ones. Ich heiße, so wie heißt du? Ich heiße Marco. Okay, that's an example here. Or if you were talking to someone formally, you would say, wie heißen Sie? And you would say, ich heiße Herr Schmidt, Mr. Smith, Herr Schmidt. Okay, and you've noticed here we've got the du and the sie, and we've got ich. I should have made ich blue too. Ich and ich. We've got 3 different actors here. And the first one you're asking how you are called, and the second one you're saying I am called. In this third sentence, we're saying how are you formal called, and then the last one you're saying I, or this person is saying I am called. So we have I, ich, du, you, and sie, you. We've got those 3 actors in this sentence, and as you can see, we've got 3 different. We've got heißt, heiße, and heißen. Okay, that's important. All right, so step 3 is just to ask yourself this question: why does the verb change? Okay, so when you're reading a sentence, when you're seeing it or hearing it, why does the verb change? If you're writing it, what you need to know is, how do I change that word? Okay, I know that heißen means to be called. I want to say, what's your name? Okay, how are you called? Okay, how do I know what form of heißen I need? What do I need to put? Now, that might be a problem there. That whole, the idea, what form of a verb? All right, well, it's because when we talk about the meaning of words, or when we talk about, how do I say to eat in German, right? You will hear someone say essen. Okay, that's the verb for to eat. Essen. Okay. In English, if someone asks you, how do I say in English, you would say, oh, that's to walk, or that's walk, you would say. All right, that's the main form of the verb, but these verbs are weird things because when you use them, you don't necessarily say, he walked to the store. Oops, why did you just say walk? Why can't you say he walk? Well, it's because we have to change it, because we're saying he, and when you say he, you say walks, right, in English. Or you say I walk in English. This happens in German, but it happens a lot more than it does in English. We really only have he walks, I walk, you walk, we walk, they walk. All of those actors, all those subjects, all just take walk. It's only when you get to he and she and it, he walks, she walks, it, maybe the bug, it walks across the room, right? Those ones take the S. So in German, we have 4 different possible endings. Okay, so ich heiße, we're using heißen as the verb. And here you'll see 3, and I'll explain that in a minute. But I am called ich heiße and E. Okay, so you take this, and you could say you take the N off, right? Du heißt. Okay, here the EN goes and you add a T. Same with this one, this one, this one. And man heißt, we haven't learned man, but man is the German word for like one. You say one walks to the park on a lovely summer day, right? We don't say that very much in English. One. It's more of a British thing, right? We would say you, meaning you in general, like not a specific person, not a group of people, not a formal person, just you, right? This idea of the general you. Well, they use man for that. Whoops. Okay, and it takes a T. So then we have wir. Okay, heißen takes an en. Really, it's just this same version here. The ear, that's you all, right? Heißt takes the T. And then the last, sie heißen and sie heißen, they are called, and you formal are called, also take en. They're this version of that. Okay. All right. There are a few ways to think about this. You pick the way that works for you. You can, however you get to these forms is fine. Whether you say you take off the en or you take off the n or however you, this is the basic form of the verb. This is what needs to happen to it when you use it in a sentence. Okay. What I say and what you'll hear me say is take off the en and add these endings, because that's the simplest way to generalize about the whole list. All right. So when I say endings, I mean these red letters. All right. If you want to practice that, there's an exercise there. Click on you and you can practice. It's a matching activity. All right. To match up the endings with the verbs. All right. Now let's try it with a different verb, because this is the thing. This happens with all verbs, all action words. So this is kommen. And we learned this verb too. Ich komme aus. Okay, where do you come from? Ich komme aus Afrika. Ich komme aus Südamerika. Ich komme aus Canada, right? Ich komme aus Virginia. Ich komme aus... There's lots of possibilities, right? So you take that basic form, K-O-M-M, that K-O-M-M without the en is called the stem of the verb, or sometimes it's called the root of the verb. That is the one that we want to change, all right? The en is just kind of a default ending that you find in the dictionary. All right. So what are all of these endings? Well, there's a chart that has all the endings. And I've changed it a little bit because people found it confusing. So I have added the T to all of the subjects here and the en here. Anyway, there are the endings. This is a chart that's hanging in the front of our room, and you can tattoo it on your arm or wherever you need so that you can remember this. This chart will help you in German until it's in here, right? So these are the endings. Now, I want to show you something. I'm going to skip ahead. Look at this do form. Kommst. And there's an ST on it. Kommst. But if we looked up to heißt with the do form, there was not an ST. There's just a T. Okay, so the do form sometimes takes an ST and sometimes takes a T. How do you know? Well, if the stem of the verb, if this KOMM or whatever it is there has an S sound at the end, then you don't add the S because it already has that S sound. Okay, so heißt, here we go. The S set makes the S sound, so you just add the T. But kommst, at the end of komm, there's no S sound, so you add the ST. Most verbs will take ST. Matter of fact, you can almost take the parentheses off of that and just say the do takes ST. Okay, it's just when the stem of the verb we're working with has an S sound at the end that you don't add the S. All right, regular verb endings. So there's kommen with all of the endings, and there's the English next to it too, by the way. I come, ich komme, or I'm coming. They just say ich komme. Right. So they don't say I am coming or he is going, or they don't use the I am or is, those helping verbs. They just say I come tomorrow. I come to your house tomorrow, and not I am coming. German, they don't have, they use I come. It's like caveman talk. I come to your house tomorrow. Yes, that's how they say it. Okay, and it means I am coming. It doesn't sound at all weird in German. All right, ich komme, du kommst, er kommt, sie kommt. So here is all of your endings. Okay, and there's this chart again, kind of put over that. All right, so you can match them up. You see, ich komme gets the E, du kommst, ST. Okay. All right, you can practice this verb here. Now, this seems all very abstract, okay? You're learning these subject words and then you're learning how to change these verbs. What does that mean? Why, when do I use that? Why is this important? Well, so when you want to talk about something like, I am drinking tea, okay? You've got to know, if I want to say that in German, if someone's looking at me saying, what's in there? And you want to say, I'm drinking tea. You've got to know that trinken is the verb, right? Trinken. You look it up, you find trinken in the dictionary. And you've got to know, you say, ich trinke. You got to have the E on the end. Tea. Ich trinke tea. Okay. And you want to ask, do you want to drink tea? Trinkst du Tee? Du trinkst. Okay, you put the ST on the end of that. So when you want to talk, you've got to put these in. Now, why don't we just use Google Translate? We'll just type in, do you want to drink tea? And it comes up with these things. Well, I know this, you got to trust me on this. You are smarter than Google Translate. Okay, Google Translate works very well for this kind of thing right now in these very simple sentences. But when it gets more complex, then Google Translate starts to fail. And if you've got to understand how these work so you can see how Google Translate messes up. All right. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. We've got 9 pronouns, and then we've got the one verb with the different endings, with 4 or 5 endings. So that's what you're working with here. That's a manageable list, right? 9 pronouns. I, you, he, she, it, we, you, all, they, and you formal. And then you've got come, or whatever verb you have. Okay. And then you've just got the 1, 2, 3, 4 endings. 4 endings. That's right. Okay. And you've got to be able to match them. That is the task here. Okay. So practice kommen by doing that. And then we've got another verb here that we're going to be working with this quarter, wohnen, because you want to be able to tell somebody, this is where we're headed, guys. My name is such and such. I come from wherever you come from, and I live in wherever you live. That is when we know that, and we can also say how we're doing. And I think there's one more thing. Oh, and some more names. The name of your best friend. When we can do all that, we're done with the quarter, guys. Okay. All right. So if you know how to use these verbs, you're 2/3 of the way there. All right, wohnen. If you want to practice wohnen, there's an exercise there you can do it with. And then we've got a few more verbs just for fun, right? Schreiben, to write, because these are all regular verbs. They take these endings. By the way, does schreib end in an S sound? Nope. So it takes the ST. Schreibst. Spiel, spielen, to play. Does Spiel end in an S sound? Nope. Takes the ST. Spielst du basketball? Do you play basketball? Okay. So to practice these verbs, conjugamus is great for verbs. That's what it's made for. That's why it's called conjugamus. That's Spanish for conjugating. And you want to do exercise 5, and that's what it's called. Normal verbs. That's regular verbs. And then we have a quiz on this. There's the practice quiz, and then we have the actual quiz. Okay? The quiz involves seeing a sentence like I play and putting that into ich, and then I'll give you the spielen. You can see that in the quiz. You just have to know how you change it to make it go with ich. Okay? All right. Let me know if you have questions. Mach's gut. Tschüss.